In this video, I'm going to show you a tool in Davinci Resolve that's hiding in plain sight that's going to change your color grading forever. We have our clips here. I believe this was shot in ARRI. We got to make sure that our timeline color space is ARRI and my output is 2.2 because it's going to web. Let me show you this quick grade I did. We started here. And then I ended up here. And I'm going to show you exactly how I got there and the tool that I incorporate in almost every type of project. Let's turn everything off and then start from the beginning. What I like to start with is the CST. So we need to change this footage from ARRI to Rec 709, and this is what it looks like. Now you can see the saturation is pretty crazy, but we're gonna kind of ignore that until the end because that's actually the tool that I want to show you guys. What I did in this grade is I use a splitter. So how you do that is you go right click, add splitter, you'll create this thing, and then you'll say add combiner, and then you get this, and then you just connect them. And what this does, it separates your image in red, green, and blue. And what I wanted to do with this grade is create kind of like a duotone type of look. There's too much orange. I wanted to incorporate more green. And how I did that was in the red channel, because it's only dealing with red, I take the luminance and I just pull this down. So it introduces this green, which matches quite nicely with his shirt. And obviously, like I said, just ignore the saturation for now. I just kind of want a very saturated image. Then I added a curve. So I pulled down the exposure and then lifted up the bottom. I played a bit with the densities just to add a bit more density to his jacket. Then I played around with this color tone diffuser and got here. And for you that don't know what the color tone diffuser does, it simulates shooting through edge lit diffusion. I've only recently started playing with this, but I kind of do like the results. What I did here was the shadow soft clip. I just clipped the bottoms a little bit with the highlight soft clip. You can see here, brought down the highlights. I played around with the intensity of the tones. And then I also fooled around a bit with the exposure, the contrast, to kind of get here, to get a bit more of a punchy type of look. I then went to my clip node, pulled down the exposure even more, and played around with the saturation. I used the color slice tool, and I also used the hue versus luma. Now that we are here, I like this image, but it's way too saturated. And the tool that I want to talk to you about today, and it's quite obvious tool, but I feel like a lot of people neglect it or don't use it, is the luminance versus saturation. You'll find sometimes in your projects you want more saturation to be introduced, but the saturation just gets spilled everywhere, especially in the shadows and the highlights. If I want this image to sit a bit better, because this for me is too saturated and too bright, I love making a type of curve here, pulling down the saturation in the luminance of the low values and in the highlights. Because in the real world, when you see anything that's saturated, the darker the places are, the less saturation your eye will pick up. So if you have a lot of saturation in your shadows especially, it does not look good. So what I'll do here is I'll play around with this until I'm kind of happy where his face sits. So if I want his saturation to be kind of there, this feels way more natural and subtle to me than without it. Like this is just way too saturated. If I then, want to pop his jacket more or anything like that, I would go into the clip and change that. The whole focus of this video is to show you how strong this luminance versus sat function is. The red, green, and blue on the splitter, the red's doing the heavy lifting of creating the look, and the luminance versus sat ties everything together from an oversaturated image to something that looks very pleasing.